sondern der Brief wird geschrieben. Also das ist wichtiger. Wer den Brief geschrieben hat, ist nicht wichtig. Das kann ich sein, mein Freund sein, meine Frau sein, mein Chef sein. Das kann irgendeiner von euch sein. Das ist nicht wichtig. Der Brief ist wichtig. Das ist jetzt, also darauf fokussiere ich. Ist der Brief fertig? Nein, er wird geschrieben. It's being written. It's not yet ready. It's exactly like as a sentence that we have at a university or any other office that you go to. Man will das Zeugnis haben. You need that certificate. You're waiting for the certificate. Das Zeugnis wird unterschrieben. The certificate is being signed. Obviously, the one who is signing is a person in authority. Because only a person of authority or in authority is allowed to sign a certificate. Whether that person is a CEO or the COO or somebody up there in the authority is immaterial to you, as long as you have your certificate in your hand, duly signed by somebody who is authorized to sign. It need not always be the principal of a college or the vice chancellor of an institute or the CEO of an organization. It could be somebody else. The CEO may be out of town. Or maybe he just died just before he signed your certificate, he died, heart attack. So until a new CEO is appointed, your letter will be lying there pending. So instead of the CEO, the COO can sign it. So the letter is important, not the person signing. It is an authorized person, the Behörde, der die dafür ständig ist oder zuständig ist. Der oder die kann das unterscheiden. So the focus shifts to that part. That is where the passive comes into use. Das haben wir verstanden. Jetzt kommt also die schlechte Nachricht. Im Deutschen wird das Passiv sehr, sehr oft gebraucht. Das ist die unglückliche Nachricht. The sad news, the bad news. It's used very frequently in German. Vor allem, nicht nur bei der gesprochenen Sprache, also nicht sehr viel, aber sehr viel bei der Schriftsprache. In the written language, it appears more frequently than it does in the spoken language. For example, in the oral language, one can always say, mir wurde nicht gesagt, dass wir heute ein Meeting haben wollen. I wasn't told that we're going to have a meeting today. Mir wurde nicht gesagt. This is very common in passive. That man hat mir das nicht gesagt is not used in such a case. So passive is fairly frequent in German. It's not common in other languages. Vor allem die Sprachen, mit denen wir vertraut sind. For example, Hindi or English so much. No one told me there's a meeting today. It's much no more normal than I wasn't told there's a meeting today. Similarly in Hindi also, or in other Indian languages, passive is not common at all. It exists auf dem Papier, in den Büchern, bei den Grammatikern, aber nicht so viel im Gebrauch. So, noch einmal ganz schnell, das mal zu üben. Also, wie bilden wir das Passiv? Zunächst, wir nehmen das Verb werden und dann kommt das Partizip.
I think you are not sharing the screen.
I'm not sharing the screen. I forgot. I think I did the recording I started, I forgot. Yeah. So, das war ein sofortiges Protest. So, good. When I get into the thick of things, I forget. Screen sharing. Ist das okay jetzt? Nein, noch nicht angefangen. Oder?
Ich kann, ich sehen.
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I got some information. So, okay, jetzt.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So. How do we form this? Ganz einfach. Wir nehmen das Hilfsverb werden und dann das Partizipverb, Perfekt des Hauptverbs. Und dieses Partizipperfekt steht am Ende des Satzes. So, werden plus Partizipperfekt identifiziert einen Passivsatz. Do you remember?
Yes, sir.
If it is a haben plus participle perfect, it identifies a perfect, active. Don't forget this, huh? Haben or sein plus participle perfect identifies the active Satz.
Okay, sir.
And that too perfect. Ich habe die Arbeit gemacht. Ich bin nach Hause gegangen. This is active. I, action being performed by someone. But the passive Satz, there is no action being performed. It's over and you're focusing on the action itself. So in the presence, for example, we'll take the shortcut here. Wenn wir so einen Satz haben, we form the passive of this with ein Brief wird geschrieben. So schreiben hier is presence. So what did I do from here? I took the presence equivalent to the passive by taking werden in the present tense and then forming the participle perfect of the Hauptverb, the main verb, schreiben, and put it here at the end. Ein Brief wird geschrieben. As you see, that ich is missing here because it's not the focus as to who is writing the letter. But if you feel it is important, it may be added depending on the user. Whenever and wherever you might please to. Otherwise, you can drop it. So if you take the preteritum form, then the verb will be schrieb. This wird will now change to wurde, and it will have the P2, geschrieben. Ein Brief wurde geschrieben. Schrieb wurde geschrieben. If it is perfect, which will be with hat plus participle 2. Also ich habe, you have to conjugate haben. So I'll remove the hat here, put haben. That haben never appears on the passive side or in the passive sentence in German. It will always come with a sign. So ist what? So passive perfect will be ist plus participle 5 plus bottom. So you have to conjugate that verb sein here. Or if you don't like the verb ist, I'll change it to sein. Das worden. So ich habe einen Brief geschrieben, also das ist hier aktiv. Ein Brief ist geschrieben worden. Similarly with pluscuamperfect, very quick revision here. Hatte plus it's fine. Hatte is preteritum of haben. Preteritum of sein is war.
Hatten.
Why?
Ja.
Gewesen.
Hatten.
Again.
Wurde.
Also ich hatte einen Brief geschrieben. Hatte einen Brief geschrieben. Ein Brief war geschrieben worden.
Wurde.
Now let's assume there is a modal verb. And this modal verb is in present tense. Or it could be in past tense. So let's take muss. Und ich muss einen Brief schreiben. Or ich musste einen Brief schreiben. That is, either is possible. Either present, ich muss einen Brief schreiben, oder ich musste einen Brief schreiben. So what you do here is, take ein Brief als subject. If it is present tense, take it in present tense. If it is preteritum, take it in preteritum. Then comes your P2 and werden. So as you see here, also ein Brief muss geschrieben werden oder ein Brief musste geschrieben werden. As you see here, there is a werden and participle perfect everywhere. I'll make it simpler. Why put this here? So, werden, participle, wurde, participle, sein, participle, werden, participle, werden. We are basically following this form. Even here, there's a werden and participle. So one way or the other, werden plus participle perfect bezeichnet einen Passivsatz. So it's very easy to identify a passive sentence in German. The structure visually makes it easier. So there are three rules here, basically. Erstens, can you give me the first rule?
Remember, action ist ganz wichtig. Yeah.
Right? How do we form a passive sense? Construction of a passive sense. Yeah.
Accusative object is the subject.
Accusative object where?
Is the subject.
Als neues Subjekt.
Als neues.
You forgot this. It has to be in the active Satz.
Active Satz.
Yes, becomes?
Subject.
Subject.
Subject means?
Nominative in passive.
Nominative.
In?
Passive.
Passive.
Okay. Rule number 2.
Yeah.
Rule number 2. Come on.
Kein accusative object, dann benutzen wir S.
S.
Yeah. So then the passive begins with?
S.
Okay. And rule number 3.
Dative object is the dative object.
Yeah. Dative object. Yeah.
Is
yeah.
Active. This is dative object in passive.
In passive.
Passive.
So I think I'll have to move this here slightly, and then instead of this, put an equal to. So don't touch the dative. Don't change the dative to accusative or to nominative. Don't do anything to the dative object. The 3 basic rules based on which we can extend the sentences. Prepositionalis object will remain a prepositionalis object. Remember, you can't change the preposition. So what comes with the preposition will remain there with the preposition. Don't touch it. We'll be doing a few sentences. Don't panic. We have done a few sentences also.
Yes, sir.
If you remember these rules, first and foremost, we are halfway there. So we had some sentences that we did. Do you remember these sentences?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember these sentences?
Yes, sir.
So if I take this sentence number 10 and put it here, what would be the sentence? Is it active or a passive?
Passive.
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 Okay. What will be the active of this? Yeah, Premada. Passive,
Plusquamperfect.
please. Yeah, this is plusquamperfect, passive.
Perfect.
So, plusquamperfect, passiv, ich brauche diesen Satz im Aktiv jetzt. Plusquamperfekt.
Der Fabrik.
Ja, noch
Der
einmal.
Fabrik hatte von
Noch einmal. Noch einmal, Kushi.
die Fabrik
The fabric.
Ja,
hatte von dem Spielzeug
hello. Active Satz.
Sir, dative object should remain as a dative in passive
Where is the
also. So why do
dative
we change
object?
it?
Hello, where is the dative object?
Their fabric.
die
Ja,
Fabrik
von-
hatte das
Akkusativ.
Spielzeug verpackt.
Sir, still I'm not clear. I'm sorry. I'm missing that.
Why are you
That is
not
fun,
clear?
and their fabric is dative object.
Oh, what is this one here, please? Where did I get this von mir?
Okay.
Where did this von mir come from here? The von mir has come from this subject here, isn't it?
Subject. Yeah.
Yes.
So here this von mir, obviously von der Fabrik means this was the subject
Subject.
in the active Satz, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This
But
is
the
a
fun is
subject.
again
in active.
dative preposition. Am I
It
right?
does not matter. It's not a dative preposition. It has come here because it was the subject in the active. Die Fabrik. Die Fabrik hatte das Spielzeug verpackt. The factory had packed the toy. The toy had been packed by the factory. We are not talking of dative object, or neither are we talking of prepositional subject. This is because it was the subject here is being taken as von.
But sir, the rule says, I agree, the accusative object is the new subject in the active sentence.
And moment, 1 minute. My mistake. Each time they call up with a new number. This is that 140 number, which is an advertising call. I blocked all the numbers. Now they're coming with a new one. Okay. Yeah, Kushi, sorry. Ja, Kushi, bitte, deine Frage.
Sir, I agree their fabric is the doer as it seems, but sir, the rule says the accusative object in the active sentence should be the new subject.
Now, this is accusative object, isn't it?
Okay.
Go back to your
Okay.
W questions. Why do you ignore your W questions? Just because you're doing B2 doesn't mean we forget our basics. Don't the
Yes, sir.
questions
Okay.
where and was identify the subject and object? Wer hatte was verpackt? Wer? Die Fabrik. Who? Who has packed what? Where, was, when, whom. These 4 questions are the keys to any sentence, whether you're doing A1, B1, C1, D1, E1, F1, W1, X1, Y1, Z1. It doesn't matter what level you're doing. These 4 keys are your keys to the German grammar sentences. Where, was, when, when. They identify the subject and the objects in a sentence. Was is used for things. Identify the subject. If the subject is a thing, use was. Was steht wo? Der Tisch steht in der Ecke. Der Mann steht in der Ecke. Wer steht wo? Person. So wer for persons, was for things. Wer gibt wem was? Wer? Ich. Was? Einen Roman. Wem? Meinem Freund. Wer identifiziert das Subjekt? Was identifiziert das Akkusativobjekt? Und wem identifiziert das Dativobjekt? So where is the confusion? In addition to this, we have wohin, woher, wo, wie, warum, weshalb, wieso. The other questions which identify the location, the modality, the direction in a sentence. But those are secondary. To the station is not a sentence. So that wohin is not important. The first question that is important is who? Ich gehe. Wohin? Zum Bahnhof. There has to be a subject associated with a verb that describes an action. For every action, there is a verb. Ich laufe zum Bahnhof. Ich fahre zum Bahnhof. Ich fliege zum Bahnhof. Ich krieche zum Bahnhof. Each action, there is a verb that defines the action. I go, I walk, I travel, I drive, I fly, I creep, I crawl. There is a person performing this action. That verb denotes that action. If I say, ich krieche, I'm crawling to the Bahnhof, I can't translate it, I'm going. Well, I'm not going, I'm crawling. So the verb becomes important because it is the bedeutungstragende Einheit. That's how it's defined. The verb carries the meaning of the sentence. You can have n number of dative objects, n number of accusative objects, or n number of subjects also. Ich, du, er, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie, sie. Singular and plural. But without a verb, who's doing what? What is this here? Ich, dem Freund, den Wagen. I got my subject, I got my objects. What is here?
Das
I is
verb.
the character. Yeah?
Yeah, verb.
Does this make sense? Ich, dem Freund, den Wagen.
9.
9, sir.
So the central part of any sentence in any language will be the verb, because that gives the meaning of that action that is being performed. This can be kaufen, it can be verkaufen, it can be leihen, it can be verleihen, it can be nehmen, geben, schenken. It can also be erklären. A brand new car has come and I'm explaining this car to my friend or to the friend. It can be beschreiben, to describe. It can be zeichnen, to draw.
Empfehlen. Ich kann empfehlen.
Empfehlen auch, ja, stimmt. So without this verb, the grammar is nonsense. Just by having a wer, was, wem doesn't help you. So what you have to do is basically look at the verb. Important part is the verb. Once you have that, go to this part here, see what is being said. Now we have this sentence here. Ich, let's say, geben. I'm not so rich enough to schenken. So let's say ich kaufe. Okay, so ich kaufe dem Freund den Wagen. I sell the car to the friend. I want to put this in passive. Literally. This is the dative object that I'm talking about, which will remain as dative object. I am not talking of this one here. This von mir has come because of ich. You don't want this one here. You don't want this, remove it. The dative is still dative. This is the dative I'm talking about. You want a better sentence, I'll give you up. Abkaufen, to buy it off the friend, from the friend. My friend had a car and I bought the car from him. Abkaufen. Dative like dative. So why are you confusing this von der Fabrik as dative object?
Oh,
This von der Fabrik is the subject of the active. It has to be von there because of the von here. This is the argens. Don't confuse this.
No, I got a confusion because of my wrong translation. I understood
Buy,
fabric.
buy,
I decoded the fabric as a material, not as a company. So it's clear now.
Fabric is factory. Fabric is factory.
Yeah, yeah,
factory. By the factory. The toy was packed by the factory. This is the loose translation. If you want a correct equivalent, it will be had been packed by the factory. So if you don't want to know who packed it, then remove this. This disappears. Remove this. But if you remove this, then you have a problem. Because if you want to reconvert this back to active, who did it is not known to you. So this will disappear. And you still need to fill this up. Who did it? It's a var verpackt worden. So passive var verpackt worden. So it should be hatte verpackt. So I have my hatte verpackt. So I take this das Spielzeug, the subject of passive, I make it the accusative object in active. Hatte das Spielzeug verpackt, but who? Since that von is not given to me as a help, by whom, I begin my sentence here with man. Man hatte das Spielzeug verpackt. One had packed the toy, since you don't know who had packed it. So that von becomes necessary or important if you are reconverting it back, and if you don't have it, then you are unaware of who has done it, to whom you should actually give the responsibility or hold someone responsible for. Then we start with one has packed the toy. You don't know who. One, someone. So man becomes the subject then. And once you have man in the subject and you redo this into passive, then you can't use von man.
Yes.
So it's a very simple 3-point rule set to form passive. Accusative object in the active becomes the subject in the nominative, in the passive. If there is no accusative object in the active, begin your passive with S als Subjekt. And a dative object bleibt dative object. And you did do these exercises. Do you remember? For example, this sentence here. Well, actually, I think only very few of you did send this exercise back to me after correction. For correction, rather.
That's what. That is a mistake I have done. I have not done it. Today I'm taking it very seriously. I'll be doing it because I'm sure if I have completed this 3 part, definitely I would have mastered it.
Probably.
At the same time, I received that that relative arts exercise. So that was vast.
Yeah,
So I
you
spent time
went
on.
over there. You went over there. Look at this sentence here. Mein Freund hat mir einen Fotoapparat zum Geburtstag geschenkt. So what do we have here? Mein Freund. Also wer? Then we have a wem. We have a was here. And zum Geburtstag.
Yeah.
What will you put here? Zum Geburtstag. This is your modality. So this is a prepositional object. Don't touch it. This is dative. Don't touch it. This is mein Freund. We may or may not need it, depending on how important you think the friend is to be put in a passive sense. So let's change this now to passive. Mein Freund hat mir einen Fotoapparat zum Geburtstag geschenkt. Hat geschenkt. Okay. Wait. So okay. Hat
Yeah.
geschenkt. Hat geschenkt. Ist geschenkt worden. Or sein geschenkt worden. Let's take the ist part, it's easier. So I need the subject here. That I get from here.
Ein Foto.
Ein Fotoapparat ist geschenkt worden. Sounds good. But we have to follow these rules here. Kind of, accusative we have found. Accusative has become subject, that's okay. Rule number 3, dative bleibt dative. There is a dative.
Mir.
But there is also this prepositional object.
Zum Geburtstag.
Now our sentence is complete. Ein Fotoapparat ist mir zum Geburtstag geschenkt worden.
Super.
Now, I think it is important to tell you that this photoapparat, a Nikon D7000, costs around 400,000 rupees or the 4 lakh rupees, complete with a 100 mm to 600 mm lens, has been presented to me by a friend. I think it's important that I should tell you. So, I use this here. I can remove this or I can remove this. Ein Fotoapparat ist mir von meinem Freund zum Geburtstag geschenkt worden. Ah, by a friend. Huh? Obviously, an enemy will not present you that unless he puts a bomb inside that. But it's not important. Whoever, well, it's a friend, wife, husband, or brother, sister, daughter, son, child, not important. So I don't want to write it. So ein Fotoapparat ist mir zum Geburtstag geschenkt worden. That's it. We have our passive. If you make this hatte, Plusquamperfekt, then you'll change this to var.
Var. No, the rule is clear, sir. I need to practice it. That's all. It's just so simple.
It is.
Thanks for your
It
patience.
is.
Yeah.
It is very simple. It's a rule for passive which we have to use actively. You learn these. This is the 3 basic things. The key is here. In this order. Accusative object, make that the subject. So what if there is no accusative object? No problem. Begin with S. And if there is a dative object, keep it as it is. Suppose there is a prepositional object, keep it as it is. Don't touch anything else. So let's take one more. What else can we take? Some of you have done this here.
Yes, sir. In class.
Ihr müsst ihm sofort antworten. Ihr müsst. You must. You must. So subject and verb. He must. Fine. Ihm. Antworten takes dative, so ihm. So there is no accusative object in the sentence. What do I do now? Go back to the rule. No accusative, so I begin my sentence with S.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a modal verb. Keep it in the same tense. Conjugated with S muss. And we said participe. Sorry. And modal verbs as it is. Es muss geantwortet werden. But there is also a im in the sentence. Das ist das dative Objekt im Aktiv. Das bleibt als dative Objekt in Passiv. So, es muss ihm geantwortet werden. Fertig. Fertig. There's nothing else now. It's over. That was our rule. Moment, where's the sentence now gone? Here. There you are. Here and here. No accusative object, I begin with S, my passive with S. There's a muss. What am I doing? Yeah. Dative bleibt dative. Geantwortet werden, and you're, oh, this is sofort. Okay, fine. So I add that here. There you are. You don't touch anything else. Let's take one more. Und zwar diesen Satz hier. Der Briefträger war von einem Hund gebissen worden. This von einem Hund is obviously the subject of the active. Ein Hund. War gebissen, war.
So past perfect.
Gebissen. Whom did it bite? It bit the postman. The subject of the passive will become the accusative object of the active. Ein Hund hatte den Briefträger gebissen. Sentence over. Over. This is that simple. Let's take one more also. Im Bahnhof ist eine Armbanduhr gefunden worden. Ist gefunden worden. Das ist passiv perfect.
Perfect.
So active perfect will have to be haben gefunden.
Gefunden.
I have my structure. So what im Bahnhof ist eine Armbanduhr. This is the subject in this sentence. So subject in the passive, right, ist gefunden worden. So it becomes the object in the active. Okay. Now we have a problem, and the problem is haben eine Armbanduhr gefunden. Who found it? It's not mentioned anywhere, but the location is there. Okay, so I'll take the location. Local, take a more low. Low comes at the end, so I take the thing at the end. Im Bahnhof gefunden. Haben eine Armbanduhr im Bahnhof gefunden. Who found it? It doesn't say.
Man.
Yeah, so what I do is I take man. Man is always conjugated with dritte Person singular. So I conjugate this now with dritte Person singular. Man hat eine Armbanduhr in Bahnhof gefunden. Der Satz ist
Können wir nehmen eine Frageschatz?
ja, das ist egal.
Yeah.
So let's take this, yeah. No. Let's take the passive here. You want to make it active or active to passive?
Both.
Okay, fine. Let's take this one first then.
Hat
Man, then Fernseher
okay,
schon
hat
repariert.
repariert. So hat
Hat
repariert
schon
should, yeah. So it should become ist repariert worden.
And it's a question, right?
So ist should be in the first position. Yeah.
Fine. Ist repariert worden, not werden. There's a
Yeah.
modal verb. No? Worden is repariert worden. So hat man den Fernseher? Lovely. So this becomes easy now. Ist der Fernseher repariert worden? Is der Fernseher repariert worden? Now complete. Oh, small beauty spot missing.
Shown. Yeah.
Don't touch any of the other things. You can't change them anyway. They're modalities, adverbs. Is der
Now-
Fernseher repariert worden?
Super. Sir, now the format is clear.
Mm.
Only thing is, yeah, as you mentioned, the same thing in the time pressure. I also make the same mistake. Verden or Orde like that. So Verden, Orde.
Worden. No, I read this as muss. No? I was doing the second one. This question in the second one is a muss. I confused these two, so I overlooked one. If you have a muss, this will remain as it is. And it will be frankiert
We must
and
this a
Werden.
brief.
And take the Werden question mark. So it's a W question. So it starts with W. So muss. We muss dieser Brief frankiert werden. Dieser Brief frankiert werden is
Frankiert.
passive stamping. Dieser Brief is subject im Passiv. So I need it as object in the active. We muss diesen Brief frankiert werden. So frankiert werden will not work in the active. So I remove this. There's a modal verb and I say frankieren. I found the object, but I don't have a subject because it's not given to me here. So I invent the subject. Wie muss man diesen Brief frankieren? So, very simple. Where is the problem? You have to either search for problems or invent a problem.
No, the problem was with me. I did not practice it. So
Hey,
let me do it
even
today.
the others, if it's still not clear to the others, then I'll give you one more sentence. That way I've solved the whole exercise. Ich habe diese Übung ohne Hilfe gemacht. Ich habe diese Übung ohne Hilfe gemacht. Aktiv oder passiv?
Active.
Aktiv.
Active. So habe gemacht should be here. Gemacht worden.
Ist gemacht worden. What has been done? So diese Übung.
Plural. So these are you.
Diese
No,
Übung.
ich
Remain
is the
same.
subject, nominative, this is the accusative object.
Yeah.
Okay, so I take this as the subject now.
Diese Übung.
Diese Übung ist gemacht worden. How?
Ohne Hilfe.
Prepositional object, don't touch it, leave it as it is. Diese Übung ist ohne Hilfe gemacht worden.
Hilfe gemacht.
So these are plural. So Übungen should come. Am I right?
Diese is singular, Übung is feminine. This is feminine singular.
Mm.
Plural
Then plural
and
should be
feminine.
diesen Übungen.
Diese Übungen. Accusative plural will be die.
Diese, yeah.
Diesen will become dative.
Dative,
And
yeah.
Übung will not come as dative object without a preposition. It is a thing.
Got it.
Only a person can come as a dative object. If you have a preposition, then a thing can be put in the dative. Wir beginnen mit diesen Übungen. Because I put a mit, I can have Übung as my dative object. Without the preposition, a dative object will always be a person. This is the beauty with German grammar. Very precise, very exact. No complications. In English, to identify the dative object is a problem. You can have a thing there as well as a person. And it becomes very difficult because there is no physical change, no visual change. So you can't identify the dative. Answer me, ask me. Antworten Sie mir, fragen Sie mich. Mich ist Akkusativ, mir ist Dativ. Also auf Deutsch, das kann ich sehen. Aber im Englischen, das ist dann gleich. Me, help me, answer me, tell me, ask me, visit me. It's me throughout. Also sei es Akkusativ oder sei es Dativ. That me remains as me. Him remains as him. Her remains as her. Help her, visit her, ask her, thank her. Tell her. Physically, you can't identify. Is this her dative or her accusative? You're not sure. Because the verb doesn't help you. Whereas in German, we are very clear. Sagen Sie ihr. Sagen takes dative. So jemandem etwas sagen. Antworten Sie ihr. Jemandem eine Antwort geben. Jemandem antworten. Jemanden fragen. Jemandem danken. Why do we have this sagen, danken, helfen and so weiter als dative? Because these verbs, by their very nature, by their very existence and definition of an action, are all menschbezogen. They are related to people. So, a dative object is always a person. So, it must be a person always used in the dative object. Learn German grammar, your other grammars will improve. Ganz systematisch ist die deutsche Grammatik. Wenn man einen Fehler bei der deutschen Grammatik macht, das bedeutet, entweder hat man das Konzept gar nicht verstanden oder man hat den Fehler aus Versehen gemacht. There is no third option. Either you have not understood the concept of German grammar or you
Oversight.
overlooked it. You made it by oversight. That mistake is by oversight. There is no third option. Either you have not understood or in your hurry to type or some mistyping somewhere. That's all. In English, we are so unsure of our English. I'll tell to you the truth. What is tell to you? I say to you. I say you. I've heard this so frequently used. And people pass this off as good English. I'm talking of English language institutes in the country. There's so many of them. Learn English in 30 days. And I wasted my entire life learning English. If I could do it in 30 days, I don't know why I've been using and learning English for 60 years now, or more than 60.
But if I tell like this, okay, come to me, I'll teach you English for 30 years, nobody will come.
No, don't use this, not tell. If I say like this, not tell. There's a difference in usage between say and tell.
And tell, okay.
What I can tell you is how to say things in English.
Okay. That's
See
right.
the
So if I
difference?
say, Okay, I'll teach English for 30 years. Nobody will listen or nobody
No,
will be interested.
No, I won't say 30 years. I'll say, come to me, I'll teach you English. I won't give the time period. And actually, I can teach you
That's why.
English in 30 minutes. I can teach you English in 30 minutes. But are you capable of assimilating so much in 30 minutes? I am capable of teaching you in 30 minutes. But are you capable of assimilation? Sri Krishna to Arjuna. I'll show you the universe, but are you capable of understanding that concept of the universe? See, it's a question of, again, how you explain things. There's a difference between tell and say. Aber das interessiert uns momentan nicht. So, wir beschäftigen uns mit dem Passiv hier und wir bleiben bei dem Passiv. So, jetzt weg mit dem Satz hier. So, this is the simplest form. Okay, bis jetzt? Und dieses Passiv heißt dann werden passiv. Okay, so werden passiv. Schon gemacht. Wir haben das verstanden. Jetzt gehen wir weiter zu dem zweiten Teil von Passiv. Das ist eigentlich Lektion 7, wie ich es euch schon erzählt habe. Wir machen diese 2 Lektionen zusammen als eine Einheit von Passiv. So, diese sogenannten werden passiv, also mit werden und Passiv 2, heißt auch Vorgangspassiv. Das Wort Vorgangspassiv besteht aus 2 Wörtern. Vorgang und Passiv. Was bedeutet das Wort Vorgang?
Before.
Etwas geht vor. So. Etwas geht vor, also hier. Meine
Process.
Hand geht vor.
Action.
Ja? Ja, well done. Aber das geht vor. Was bedeutet vor?
In front of.
In front of.
So something is going in front.
In front of.
It's going. Action. It's happening. So it's called a Vorgangspassiv. How long will this action continue? Forever? Will it continue forever? Tell me by your logic. Will any action continue for?
Nine. Put the side.
Yeah. Also, eine kurze Zeit. Good question. Let's stick to that. Eine kurze Zeit.
Bestimmte Zeit, ja.
Eine bestimmte Zeit, even better, but you are describing it from the physics point of view. Okay, well done. So die Tür wird geöffnet. Was bedeutet das? Ist hier eine Aktion oder keine Aktion? Die Tür wird geöffnet. So.
Action about in future.
Nee. Wird geöffnet.
It's passive.
Presence.
Passiv.
Passive, ja.
Der Passivsatz. Und ist das ein Vorgang? Ist der Vorgang hier?
Ja.
Der
Yes.
Vorgang hier. Und hier gibt es hier auch einen Vorgang? Ist der Vorgang hier also? Das Fenster wird geschlossen. Also so.
Yeah. Close. Closed.
So there's a Vorgang.
Yes, sir.
So how long will this Vorgang continue? The Tür wird
For a short
geöffnet.
time.
Till the action gets
Kurze
over.
Zeit.
Till the door cannot be opened anymore.
And anymore. Yeah.
So it comes to a Zustand, a state where it is now not possible to open it any further. Similarly, a window will also come to such a state where it cannot be shut any further.
Mm.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So it comes to a new state. What happens then?
Not bad then.
The door is open.
Mm.
And what about the window?
First, yes, sir.
Right? So this is state of it is the new state. That you can't close the window anymore. It has reached the maximum closure. It cannot be shut anymore. It can't be opened anymore. This is the maximum that you can open it. So when you look at this is state of it, yeah,
I have a question here. Is it active or passive now?
this is passive. We are still in passive. Who is opening the door? Where is the audience? Also, where is the audience?
Yeah, it's not there.
So it's passive.
Okay.
Still passive. There is no one performing the action. The door is open. Or rather opened, if you want to be very, very pedantic and precise and that exact here. The door is open. The window is closed. Who closed the window? That is not given to us here. Audience is missing, so it is still passive. But here the window was being opened. There was a foregone going on, a process of opening. The window is being opened. Foregone. That is your foregone, verb and passive. And then you have your Zustands passive, where after a certain state, the door cannot be opened anymore. It's not a revolving door. A revolving door, anyway, it cannot be opened or closed. That is the other paradox. It's a door. Depending on how you look at it, it's open or closed. Because every time you enter, it opens, and then after you enter, it closes. Keeps revolving. So let's not go into that physics and the metaphysics aspect of it. Let's leave that there. We're talking about normal door in your house, in my house, in most of the buildings. It opens only to that extent and not more. Once it opens to that extent, can you still call it a closed door? No,
Yeah.
you will call it an open door. Correct? So what was
once
earlier
it is open.
closed, what was earlier closed is now open. So a new state, a new stage, a new state. You will call it an open door. You will not call it a formerly closed door. No one uses that. For example, my window here next to my table is open. It was closed last night. In the morning, it was opened by me. The window was opened, not I opened the window. That is active. The window was opened or was being opened. It can open only to that 90-degree angle. Beyond that, the hinges will not allow it. So I opened the window till this level, maximum. Now it is stuck. So new state, open state, not closed. Since it has reached a new state and it cannot go any further, this passive that we have here, since the new, it describes this new state, is called Zustands passive. I'm missing out something here. So ist es. Zustandspassiv. Also wir haben zwei Formen, Vorgangspassiv und hier ein Zustandspassiv. It's a passive of state. That is, by logic, we'll work on this a little more tomorrow. Wir versuchen, das Konzept zu verstehen zuerst. Das ist für mich sehr, sehr wichtig, dass wir alle das gut und im Ganzen verstehen. Dann die Übungen machen wir später. So concept-wise, a new state of passive. So obviously, logically, something that is going on must come to a stop. This is one of the things that we did, I think, in our 9th standard or 8th standard physics. If you throw a ball up, how far up will it go? Then the formula is given to you. That kinetic
reach the
energy,
equilibrium.
potential energy, all that, how much it can go to that level before the gravitational force stops it. So it goes to a certain height and then starts coming down. So there's a limit to how much it will go, depending on the force that you exert upon it. If you exert a force which is more than that of the gravitational force, then it will go into orbit. That is the principle behind a rocket. So similarly here, Vorgangspassiv, Zustandspassiv, you can only perform that action to that extent that it allows itself to be performed. It has to come to a close. Let's say I'm burning a piece of paper. How long will I burn it?
Till it get
Till it
burns.
has oxygen, that
Till it becomes
content.
totally ash.
Totally burnt.
Totally burnt out or total ash. Can I burn this ash further?
No.
No. So now it has come to a new state.
Yes, sir.
The new state is ash.
Yes.
I can't call it paper anymore, correct?
Yeah.
There
Yes,
you
sir.
are. So that is a Zustandspassiv. The house is being burnt, was being burned, and after that, the house is burnt. That means it's over, finished, done. Kaput, no house more anymore.
But sir, foregang passive will also come to an end. I mean, it
Then it becomes
also.
Zustandspassiv. Then it becomes Zustandspassiv. The letter is being written.
Mm.
How many years will you that person write that letter? Lata Mangeshkar could have written a letter for 92 years, minus 2, 90 years. From the age of 2, let's assume she started learning how to write and she's been writing a letter since then. Now that letter is over. In fact, she's over. So the letter has to come to an end.
Yeah.
So the letter is written. Not is being written, is written.
Is being written is foregang passive and is written is Zustand passive.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, when the action is already being completed, then it will become Zustand passive.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So my thanks to Lata Mangeshkar for helping me out here. See, it's so simple.
Yeah, sir.
Right? Let's take Lata's help once again, or Kishore Kumar or Muhammad Rafi. None of the singers are there. How long will they sing? Until a particular song has come to an end, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So once a song is completed, it's Zustandspassiv. The song has been sung, is sung, is being sung. It's going on. Wird gesungen. Going on. For example, early morning, 9 o'clock, the school next door, next to the university, they have this national anthem in the morning. The school right now, I think about 300 students are visiting the school now. Not all the classes are not yet open. It's right across. You can hear the thing. Early morning, they sing the national anthem, Janagana Mana. When it is being sung for gang, I normally shut my ears. There are 300 different tunes going on there.
But sir, the letter is being written is present perfect form in foregang passive.
It's not
And
present
is
perfect.
written.
Is being written is Vorgangspassiv in English, the way you understand it, which is causing you this entire and immense confusion when you are trying to understand the statement in German period.
Sir, I am not able to understand the difference between.
The original English sentence is also is being written. We have never learnt it like that. It has never been taught to us like that. Don't blame your teachers for it. You blame the teachers of the teachers who taught them this way.
No, it's my fault. I agree.
No, the teachers of English also don't teach you properly because they have not learnt it properly. The correct Vorgangspassiv in English is also is being written. That action is going on. But none of us learns it that way. Das ist das Problem. You see. I see, but do you see?
Sir, Zustand passive sounds more like a past form in foregang passive.
Yes, it sounds like that. I agree. And that is where I have a handout for you to differentiate between the two forms. And this is about 7 pages, which covers the entire 7th lesson, part of the 5th and part of the 10th lesson of the first book. I will discuss this in the class tomorrow hier zusammen. Wir gehen mal durch das Papier hier und dann schicke ich das euch. I'll send it to you then. There is everything there is to know about passive, but as one of the old titles of a book said, but we're afraid to ask. And there is nothing more you can ask after you finish these 7 pages. It covers your entire passive. It's titled The Zustandspassiv. The explanations are totally in German, so that your German can also improve to a certain extent, but don't go by the definitions, go by the examples. Zuerst die Beispiele lesen und dann die Regel oder die Erklärung lesen. Then you'll understand it better. So,
Sir, excuse me for this question in advance. In advance, excuse me for this question. So, to what extent we'll be using this in our day-to-day usage?
Zustandspassiv and Vorgangspassiv are very commonly used in German. That's a bad news.
Okay, then yeah, we need to spend quality
I
time
can
on
only
this.
make
Yes.
it. I can only make it better by saying I'll help you understand the concept. I can only
Yeah, I
help
need to
you there.
focus. Yeah.
Okay. So, neben dem Vorgangspassiv gibt es im Deutschen noch ein Zustandspassiv. Also, the examples that I used here, das Fenster wird geöffnet oder wurde geöffnet. Ist geöffnet, war geöffnet. Is being opened, was being opened, Vorgang. Is open, was open. Is being, has been open, was open, had been. Don't look for equivalents because you'll end up confusing yourselves beautifully in English. Don't use English. So, das Zustandspassiv drückt einen Zustand aus, a state, der das Resultat eines vorhergehenden Prozesses ist. It is a result of an earlier state that has happened, a process that has taken place, which is now at an end. Also, zuerst wird das Fenster geöffnet, also Vorgang. Und was ist das Resultat? Ist geöffnet, new state. Simplest meaning. Simplest meaning. And how do we use this? There are thousands of sentences here, exercises for you to show you the difference. Not only that, the difference between active perfect. Kushi, your question? How do I know ist gereift is active? And how do I know ist geschrieben is passive? We'll deal with this tomorrow. Similarly, how do we form a passive Satz ohne werden, ohne sein? Ohne werden und ohne sein. How do you form a passive? Right? So for them, these are called the Konkurrenzformen, where ich habe das Buch geschenkt bekommen. Passive sentence. Ich habe das Buch geschenkt bekommen. This is the passive meaning here. We'll deal with this tomorrow. I want to whet your appetites. At the same time, I'm whetting them. I'm hoping that you gain an appetite for this. I want to know why it is passive. Or, look at this here. Der Schlüssel findet sich. Reflexive. This damn thing has got a passive meaning. How? Tomorrow. Das Fenster ist nur zu schließen. Ist zu plus infinitive. Passive. We did this, by the way, in the book, first book. I'm sure you've forgotten. Then, look at this sentence here. If you use, das Wasser ist trinkbar. Die Uhr ist reparierbar. Passive sentence. Where is the passive? It is hidden inside the sentence. Where is it hidden? I'll show you tomorrow.
That's what. After today, I
Es
had
sieht
this clue.
gefährlich aus.
Ja, Kushi?
Es sieht gefährlich aus.
Gar nicht gefährlich. Das ist so leicht that tomorrow you'll say, oh shit, that's all.
That's all.
It looks gefährlich. But what is gefährlich is not always gefährlich. Ja, Vasu, du wolltest was sagen.
No, all this up to this minute, I had a clue to identify passive. The word
Now
Verden
you have many
in some other,
clues.
in some form.
Now,
In some
now
form,
you-
Verden will be there in passive sentence. Now you are telling passive sentence without Verden. A bit worried
Yeah.
now. What happens to my
No,
clue
no.
then?
No worry, those are more clues. And remember, we are not looking at the structure alone, we are also looking at the Bedeutung. But having said that, I shall also be sharing this rule part with you. If you have not shared it with you already, where the three forms are there, the active of a sentence, the Vorgangspassiv, and the Zustandspassiv.
No, already you shared on the time you
Yes,
told
I
us.
used
You will
to.
discuss this issue, later.
Right.
Definitely.
So we will discuss it now. If I've shared it's good, I'll discuss it now. This Regelübersicht covers your entire syllabus to whatever advanced level you take your German. What we will be looking at is only these 3, 4 till here. And in Zustandspassiv, we'll be doing only these two. We will not be touching the others because they're not so frequently used. We won't touch them. We leave them on the table itself. In the Vorgangspassiv, however, we'll be doing till here. Presence, Präteritum perfect, Pluscup-Perfekt. We won't touch these. These are again not common. Future passive, but we'll be doing modal verb, presence, and modal verb, Präteritum. But in the active, we are expected to know all this. So what I will do now is reformulate the table. Maybe the columns we don't need, I can blank them out or put them in small blue or make the font size smaller, saying so that we don't concentrate on them or we ignore them for the moment. And later when you need them, you can always increase the font size at the C1 or C2 or whatever level. This is comprehensive. It can't get any more than this, whether you're doing MA, MPhil, PhD, whatever. This table covers it all. At one go, you have the entire grammar in front of you on one A4 paper with plenty of space left over. So much of space is still there. There you are.
So today I'll try to complete that exercise and I'll be sending it to you by today evening German time. So
I
if
hope I
possible,
get the
if your
time.
time permits, just have a quick.
Yeah, because I have a
Look,
class till 6 o'clock, till 5:15. Sometimes it spills over to 5:30. So
Oh,
our
that's what.
class in
It's
the
a
evening
request. So
again.
if you find some
Let
time,
me see.
fortunately, then just have a quick look and yeah, so
Yeah,
that we
sure,
can
sure,
I can correct my mistakes tomorrow.
sure. I'll do that.
Done. Thank you.
So
And I also received
others,
the last two
yeah,
letters, and I not gone through it. Just now I'm seeing the mail, so I will
that's
check
okay.
it.
That's
And
okay. So
so, is there anything
no,
major thing to be corrected from there?
no, no,
Any point?
no, no,
Okay.
no, no. And people, noch einmal, please go through the Werden Passiv once again from what we have done. The first book,
Yes,
B1
sir.
Lektion 10.
Yeah.
Noch einmal, just to be on the surer side or safer side. Alles, was wir da gemacht haben, gelernt